Wait, there's something very weak coming through.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Todd Hoffman, and this is WSTR Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 90. Today, we're going to talk about 90. Can you believe that? We are going. I can't actually, but it's awesome. So we are going to talk about 15 cutscenes that would have changed everything in the Star Wars universe. But first, I have two special co-hosts with me. First, Miss Heather Allred.
Hey, everybody. I hope I sound the same, because I don't feel like I sound the same.
Oh, it's okay. Heather's a little under the weather.
Just keep your head above the Bacta tank. It'll be fine. Everything will be great, and you'll do just fine. And as always,
no one panic.
Yeah, and as always, we have Mr. Aaron Julian.
Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you here, my friend. So yes, you can check us out on.
Can't ask for much more than that.
No, you can't. No, exactly. You're living, you're breathing, you're here. You know, I mean, Heather's living, but she can't breathe. So, you know, there's that too.
The breathing's a little sketchy.
Yeah, the breathing part's just a little bit sketchy, but that's okay. We're going to make it. We're going to make it. Yeah, you can check us out on the social media at WSTR Media. All one word, all lowercase. Our entire back catalog of episodes, all things that are WSTR, is at WSTRmedia.com. We want to hear from you, so email us at mailbox, WSTRmedia.com. That's mailbox at WSTRmedia.com. Or you can call us at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. Operators are standing by to take your call over the HoloNet. For our next episode, tell us what your thoughts are on the fan film TK630. If you haven't checked it out, go into your YouTube machine and type in TK630, and it's a fan film. Take a watch, take a listen, and let us know your thoughts. Give us a voicemail, and we will play that next week, because we might, be talking about that. And so call us or write us or whatever. Yeah, you can take the first step into a larger world by watching us live, streaming over the internet on YouTube every Monday. We're going to try, we're professionals around here, so we are going to try to be 9 p.m. Central Time on the dot. Aaron did not disappoint. He got us going right on time.
I try.
Yeah. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get free Audible book download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/WSTR. Over 425,000 titles to choose from your iPhone, Android, Kindle, MP3 player, cassette player, record player, portable record player. Do they have those? I don't know.
Laserdisc.
Laserdisc.
I don't know.
Audible does not have those. I'm sorry. It's got to be something like that. So
that'd be interesting though. Like each frame is a page.
Yeah.
And so you just got to have your remote ready and go forward frame by frame.
Right? Exactly. Or they Then
again, that's not very much an audiobook, is it?
No.
Right. Can they just download on tape?
Book.
They download, and then there's a stack of tapes that just magically appear that you could put in your
like pirate radio.
Yeah, and you could just put that in your Sony Walkman or something. I don't know, but yeah, you can.
I don't know.
Download a free Audible book today. Go to audibletrial.com/WSTR. Again, that's audibletrial.com/WSTR. You get a free book. You help us out. It's a win-win chicken dinner, man. We got merch. We got tees, tank tops, mugs, and you never know. There could be a hoodie coming up. We don't know. It's
Ooh,
you might
that northern wind is blowing in.
it's blowing in. Hey, it's
You never know. It's getting a little chilly out there.
Yeah, it's officially fall now, so it's time.
It's true.
It's time. It's happening.
There you go.
So yeah,
Well, in Chicago, summer is holding on with bated breath.
It's true.
one more, just like
Before
one
you know
more
it, it's just gonna
80-degree weather or
it's gonna
something.
be winter.
You know,
no fall anymore.
Right.
It's just gonna be winter.
Right, exactly.
And where will you be without a trusty warm hoodie
To keep you warm.
to keep frostbite at bay?
That's right. Exactly.
Don't end up like Luke and they got to thaw him out in the back tank. Just go ahead and get you a sweatshirt once it's available.
Yeah. Well, no.
You're tipping our hand too much here.
It should be like Luke, where you have to like snuggle up inside a tauntaun, more like.
I don't think that would sell really well.
I'm not.
Well, you heard about? Did you hear about that? Think Geek did like an April Fool's joke, and they made a sleeping bag that was a tauntaun, and you could sleep in it. And
That's awesome.
and apparently it went over so big that they actually made it, because it was an April Fool. It was a complete
checking this out.
April Fool's joke, on April Fools, and yeah, they finally said, you know what? We got such a response. We are actually going to make it, and they have it, so you can get it. So there you go.
My goodness. It's no longer available.
Oh, well,
Bummer.
I'm sure on eBay.
So get a sweatshirt from us instead.
Right, exactly. And you can get that at teespring.com/stores, STORES/WSTR media. And you could see all that stuff. And yeah, we'll definitely put a hoodie up soon, because fall is coming. Well, fall's here, but that it's happening soon. So, all right. So that's all for the infomercial part. But coming up later in the old HoloNet news report, we got anime Star Wars, Lego minifigures, and we can't get rid of Last Jedi. So there's more Last Jedi news coming up soon. So that's you got to hold on tight. But first, we are going to get to our main topic.
And now for our feature presentation.
All right, so
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So CBR.com, that's like comic book review for all your, cool people. But CBR.com just released this article about the cutscenes that could have changed everything in Star Wars. So they got 15 of them. So I figured we can go through them and see if we agree this could have changed everything, with like
Everything?
Like not 3 exclamation points, Aaron, like 5, like just
What?
so many things that we could.
3's the maximum, though.
I was going to say, is Aaron
we've
okay
been
with
over
more
this.
than 3?
No, we did have the English lesson before where it's either 1
Yes.
or 3,
Or 3?
not 2,
Yes, never anything else.
and not 5.
Yes, 1 is acceptable.
Yes.
3 is acceptable because, it's a deliberate exaggeration of the exclamation point. But 2 looks like a typo. And 4, no, it's just too much.
It's unbalanced. It's unbalanced in the Force.
1 or 3.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
Dude, every time I do social media and
I'll fight you about this.
No, at social media, like you're in my head when I'm typing and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I'm like, well, is it an amazing 1 or 3? And I have to really think about it to make sure, because you can overuse the exclamation part. It's like, ooh, I don't know.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So here we go. We're gonna go through this. All right. So the first one up is Young Han. Okay. So obviously we just had Solo: A Star Wars Story come out, and it's coming out in Blu-ray tomorrow of this recording. So tomorrow. Yeah. What? It would already be once
we're gonna miss it.
Once this episode released, it would actually be already out. But yeah. This was actually, George tried to explore this a little bit in the early drafts of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. He was going to appear as a child living with the Wookiees on the homeworld of Kashyyyk. So it was going to be like a brief cameo and only speaking 1 or 2 lines of dialogue. Yeah. So Solo, showing that he would have met Chewie for the first time, in his early 20s, but this would be like he was like 10 and he was hanging out with the Wookiees. So what do you think about this? Does this change everything?
Are we talking like a Jungle Book situation?
With Mowgli?
Are we talking like a Jungle Book situation or like Tarzan, where he's raised by Wookiees?
That's why he could speak, Kashyyyk, or whatever Wookiees speak. I forget.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, he can understand it. I don't think he can quite speak it.
Hey, he spoke it in Solo. Don't you remember?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
but
yeah. I don't know if this changes everything, but I think it goes back to it's almost too much. You're trying to do too much in one movie, and cutting. George knew he wanted to have something in Kashyyyk, but like cutting to Kashyyyk, and then you have, oh, is that Han Solo? Oh, look, he's got his like gunslinger belt and his blood stripes and his little vest, so that it's like a mini Solo,
Baby Solo.
That's a good point. Like if he was a child, how would we know that he's Han Solo?
Right.
Unless they have another character explicitly refer to him as Han Solo, or he's already in his outfit, which is like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
I'm
glad this wasn't on anything. So there you go.
Also, it would have been just a bit too much fan service, where it's just like, you see George Lucas in the back just giving a thumbs up and a wink to the camera, like, hey, we got him in here.
It's just like I talked about before, like when we have Boba Fett in special editions, like look at the camera, just like, it's too much. It's too much. So, all right, this one next up, I think this was also a special edition change, but the human Jabba. So this was actually filmed. They filmed this, and he appears in the hangar bay of Mos Eisley, camping out by the Millennium Falcon, to remind Han about the debt he owed. Again, he's just a heavyset man in like a kind of furry coat type thing, but he's not Jabba, But because again, when we meet Jabba in 1983, he's a giant space monster and he looks awesome. And if you remember in the special edition, Han goes around him and he steps on his tail, and because he went around him because he was just a human when they did that footage. Heather, what do you think about this one, the human Jabba?
I would have been sorely disappointed.
Yeah.
In a human Jabba.
Yeah.
I think there's something really stellar about the Star Wars universe with having, humans interacting with all of these other space species.
Yeah.
It's what makes the universe the universe. Nothing against, big giant slug people, but it's fun seeing a slug mobster gangster kind of guy.
Yeah.
He was just missing like the baseball bat in the corner.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Perfect. But no.
It definitely,
I think it was a good choice to redo.
Yeah. And again, it definitely, if you come to Return of the Jedi and you enter that and it's just like a big fat guy sitting on a throne, it loses its luster. It's like, oh, that's Jabba? Because we already seen him in A New Hope, as a human or whatever. So, yeah. Aaron, what do you think about human Jabba?
Right.
This is actually one of the deleted scenes on the list that I have seen.
Yes.
And it's just so funny because you see Jabba and he looks like he's got some fried chicken underneath his robe, like just ready to pull it out.
Yeah. Like Porkins. Like Porkins.
Yeah, like those old cartoons of some kind of medieval setting where they've got one of the nobles just feasting, or No, like usually how they portray Caesar, or like Nero Caesar, in films and cartoons, where he's just like fat and his face is flushed and he's all greasy and he's just like eating.
Yeah, he's just like, eating.
It's not a terrifying villain, to be sure.
No.
So pretty glad they cut that.
Yes, give me the 5-person puppet. I'll take that over fat guy anytime. Okay.
Plus, it just ruins the pacing for the first act of the movie.
This one's near and dear to me. Yoda communicates with Qui-Gon. Okay, Yoda communicates with Qui-Gon. So, if you're not aware, obviously, Qui-Gon Jinn's body does not disappear when he gets struck down by Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace. It was later revealed, obviously, becoming a Force ghost it doesn't happen to all Jedi at that time. And then in Revenge of the Sith, we get a little blurb about Yoda that he has communicated with Qui-Gon Jinn, but he does not appear in Revenge of the Sith, or we hear his voice in a couple. They kind of retcon it a little bit, but we don't really see him. He just mentions it to Obi-Wan that I got something to teach you while you're out in getting some sun in Tatooine. This one hurts. I really, in the book, in the actual novel to Revenge of the Sith, they go into this a little bit deeper, and I'm disappointed that they didn't have this in the film. Heather, what do you think about this one?
Well, you do.
No, go ahead. No, go.
You do have a point, or to your point earlier, with Revenge of the Sith, they're trying to do a lot in one movie, and so it probably, and it's late in the movie too, after the huge climax, which generally, if you're making a movie and you have the climax happen, you want to get out of there as quickly as possible.
Correct.
So, given that, it probably would be problematic to include that. However, I'm trying to think where else in the prequel trilogy you could have slipped that information in. It's really hard to find a point.
Well, I'm going to back up. If you go Attack of Clones, when Anakin takes down the Tusken Raiders, Yoda, you can see Yoda meditating, and you can hear Qui-Gon say, "Anakin, no." So, and you could have there's a part too where Yoda is meditating with Mace, and you could have used it then. There could have been parts where you kind of trickled that in, because basically what is explained in the novel is that every time Yoda is meditating in the Force, he continues to hear Qui-Gon's voice as the Force, and it's like you can't figure it out. I just think it would add a lot to the mythos, and they do go through this in Clone Wars a lot in the Lost episodes, but I just wish it was on film. Just wish it was on film. So, Heather, you got any thoughts about Qui-Gon?
I got one more point, Todd. I'm with you there, but for a movie to work, usually every scene has to advance the plot in some way or develop the characters, and I'm having a hard time believing that something like that Qui-Gon revelation would come across as anything other than just trivia, unless it was directly related to the plot in some way. So that'd be pretty challenging to do, I would think.
Yeah. Well, again, if they did the special edition right, Qui-Gon would have showed up in a Jedi Force spirit in Return of the Jedi. Then it all syncs up, because but that's just me. That's just me. Heather, you got any thoughts on this one?
I mean, I think when I first saw all the films in their entirety, I don't know that I put any thought past that he didn't immediately become this Force ghost, if you will, and that his body was still there. I don't know when I first saw it that I was in the in-depth Star Wars fandom that I am now.
Or you're in deep now.
I think now I'm. Yeah, I know. Yeah. There's no getting out.
Yeah.
But it's interesting hearing you guys talk about it and revealing this additional scene that it's like, oh no, maybe that would have made sense for an explanation. But it's similar to other stories that are put to film. Sometimes you can't fit it all in, and you just sort of have to trust the origin of it all.
Mm-hmm.
That somehow there was a reason and purpose behind it. So I think that's my response.
Maybe if Star Wars did post-credit scenes like Marvel does, that might be a good place for it.
Yeah. Or,
but I don't know. The whole Star Wars tradition is like big finish,
Exactly.
and then it's over.
Yeah.
So
I mean, again, like,
I don't know.
Or you could just do Peter Jackson, Return of the King, and just have 3 or 4 endings that's like 2 hours after the final act. I mean, because again, at this point in the franchise, this is the last movie. So another scene that they cut was Yoda going to Dagobah, and they had, it's like, ugh, that would have been cool to see him get off the ship or whatever, but they did not. They cut it. So, but yeah, there you go. All right. Next up, Luke.
What do we got next?
Yeah, Luke at Tashi Station. So, okay. This is the famous line in A New Hope where he's like, but I was going to go to Tashi Station to pick up power converters, on a very nice whining voice. But we get to meet all of Luke's his friends. We get to meet Biggs, and Biggs kind of comes back, who leaves for the Imperial Academy and planned on joining the Rebel instead. The scene was removed simply for speed and pacing in the early film, and they have Luke meet C-3PO and R2-D2 as quick as possible instead of kind of cutting to the scene where Luke's kind of hanging out with his friends. And yeah, so the other thing in the scene too, he kind of takes his binoculars and looks up in the sky, and he could see a battle happening, which is the Star Destroyer attacking Princess Leia's ship. So that's also a little thing that's going on there. What do you think about this one, Heather? Do you want to see more friends with Luke?
I don't need it. I don't know what it would have changed. I think there's something very poetic that we've learned over the time that he's just whiny, and I think we all secretly hate it, but then more secretly kind of love it. And so I'm good without it. It potentially would have been cool. But just to get that other side of him.
Yeah.
But I feel like when we're introduced to him, meeting the droids for the first time, and then meeting, Ben, Crazy Ben, it really just sets up his path, and I'm good with it the way that it is.
Yeah, I agree. Aaron, what say you?
I think what would have been accomplished if it had been left in is kind of set the stakes at the end for how dangerous things are, because you basically have two guys from the same planet, same upbringing, kind of different paths in life, but it converges back into this battle, and it's basically saying once Biggs bites it, it's like saying to Luke, "Oh, this could just as easily happen to you."
Yeah.
However, I think we already get that with the death of Obi-Wan. And so doing that again, it risks cluttering up the movie, which they did a tremendous job editing in order to prevent that. Yeah. So there's potentially some value there, but I don't think it would have been an overall benefit to the movie.
Yeah, again, you almost have to show Biggs a little bit more on like why he entered the academy and then rebelled, and because then again, Biggs comes late in the movie at the end, and again, you only hear that you only hear like Biggs one other time when they're talking at the dinner table. So it's like if you miss that, then all of a sudden he has a best friend, and it's like, oh, we're back, whatever. So you kind of lose that, but like you said, Aaron, it's almost it gets real cluttered. So it's glad it's kind of on the cutting room floor in that one. All right, here we go. Number 11, Moff.
All right, you guys are gonna have to help me here, man. I don't know who this guy is. I read his name and I'm like,
okay, here we go. Moff Gerard follows orders. Okay, so I'm just gonna read. I'm gonna read this whole little bit right here. Grand Moff Tarkin was a major presence in the original Death Star. Moff Gerard seems to be barely present in the second. Once Darth Vader and Emperor arrive, he is even in charge anymore. He basically appears during the opening scene of Return of the Jedi. They complain about not having enough time for his men to finish the construction of the second Death Star, and then he just disappears. Originally, he had more scenes. One would involve him being ordered to destroy Endor when the shield generator goes down. Interestingly, Gerard struggles with this order as there were still many Imperial soldiers still on the moon. Apparently, even moths have hearts, even if it's not very often. So we get this in Rogue One. Like Tarkin's like, single core reactor on Scarif. He doesn't care if his men's there. What it's basically saying, Gerard, he has a little heart, and it's like, oh, my guys are down there, man. What do you think about this?
I think this is probably a move that a Marvel movie would have done.
Okay.
And it kind of goes back to that principle of, I guess, with comic books being what they are, and with comic book movies being what they are, it's almost like every character is significant, or every character has this kind of full fleshed out world, which is fine when you've got many, many issues to tell a story, but it doesn't quite work with film, where you've got a very limited time to tell your story and you've got to pick and choose to make it interesting. So it would have been interesting in that we do get that kind of sympathy for the devil there. But it just, the more detail you get with something like that, the more muddy things can get. And I think that's what would have happened. It's because we're rooting for the good guys, when all of a sudden we're getting a little pulled towards the dark side, and maybe they're not so bad. In a story like Star Wars, I don't think it would have worked out too well.
Okay. Heather, what say you?
I clearly don't remember this at all, so I'm not sure what I have to say. But I think I like what Aaron said, just about kind of a clear good versus evil component. And when you muddy that, similar to how I have strong feelings for Loki, and so I don't, I like him. He can destroy the world. That's okay. And so it does. It just changes the course of the story,
Yeah, it's like you have this big finish, like they're about to finally defeat the Empire once and for all, and then this is, they're running down the track and they stumble a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like the bad guy's like, oh no, I like my guys, and I like the rebels too, I guess, or something like that.
And I have a wife at home and kids, and they're waiting for daddy to get home from his long business trip.
Right,
and
exactly. No,
I still got to buy presents for them, and
yeah, no. Although again, the opening scene, he's on point. Like his acting's on point, because he looks really nervous when Vader drops the Emperor. He's like,
oh yeah,
we'll double our efforts. Like, oh
yeah,
gulp. The CEO is coming to the thing. So, all right, Aaron, what we got up for number 10, man?
Number 10, C-3PO's dark side. So the Wampa, probably one of the scarier monsters in the original trilogy.
Yep.
It was in The Empire Strikes Back. Attacks Luke while he's out on patrol on Hoth. drags him back to the lair and hangs him up like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wow.
And but Luke uses his force powers to escape, gets his lightsaber, cuts off the arm. It's brutal. It's brutal. Yeah. It is survival of the fittest in there. But originally, there was going to be an entire room full of Wampas at the Rebel base.
Well,
How they got them in there, nobody knows.
Yeah.
But the Rebels were going to keep them there after the constant attacks for reasons unknown. But during the Imperial invasion, C-3PO in this scene, he walks by the door, then kind of doubles back, takes off the warning sign saying, hey, there's Wampas in here. Yeah. And, then takes off. Stormtroopers come by after him, and they get pulled into the Wampa room. So,
yeah.
Fun fact, this Wampa room exists in the Shadows of the Empire. Yep. They put it in. And you basically have to hit a switch on the wall. Yeah. And if you do, you're able to get like seeker missiles and a couple other power-ups in their cages, but they all come out and start attacking you. But what you could do is open the door, run in, unlock their doors, then run out of there and close the door again, and they'll fight each other. So just wait until you find the survivor and then take him out. It's a coward's way out. Coward's way out.
Right. They also show this in the Force of His Destiny cartoon as well. They show Chewie get stuck by a couple Wampas. I think this would have been cool.
Oh, it's canon now?
Yeah, I thought it would be cool. And it's kind of edited that way because that's why Darth Vader's late to the party to get Han. When Han says, hurry up, Goldenrod, or you become a permanent resident. That's why C-3PO is late getting to the Falcon. So it's there. It's just not, we don't see it visually.
Right.
Yeah. But Heather, what do you think about this one?
I just always understood it as like C-3PO can't run. He can only waddle. But what do you think, Heather?
Oh, man. I love me droids, so this would have been fun. For someone who's so panic-driven all the time about things, to finally sort of like take action against something as a, danger, Will Robinson, I just think it would have been great.
Right.
It is kind of out of C-3PO's character, though, because it's a tactical move, and C-3PO is definitely not tactical.
Right.
So there you go. All right, Aaron.
All right.
What's up?
Number 9, Luke's new lightsaber.
Okay.
So everybody remembers at the end of Empire Strikes Back, Luke loses his dad's lightsaber along with his hand in a fight with Darth Vader.
Right. Highly
irresponsible.
Yeah.
This is your life. You should never lose it.
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah.
At one point, Vader makes a comment about Luke constructing his own lightsaber.
This is correct.
But yeah, that happens between movies, off camera. We don't see it, except they did shoot a scene showing Luke assembling his lightsaber in a cave on Tatooine before sending R2 and 3PO to Jabba's. So it's a nice scene, but it ruins the reveal later once R2 slides back the hatch, pops out the saber, and shoots it across into Luke's hand. So what do you guys think about that?
I feel like I could go either way.
Really? Why is that?
I mean, it'd be nice to have something in regards to continuity going from having one to not having one to having one.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is sort of just passage of time that takes place. So sometimes passage of time in films can be a little like, so, sorry, I fell asleep there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just subtleties. So, yeah. So maybe it wasn't completely necessary. It wouldn't be uncharacteristic. Big picture for him to create a new one. So I could really truly go either way. Makes sense to not have it, because you would think naturally someone training to be a Jedi could be creating their own lightsaber, yet at the same time, if they showed it, it would be just additional character development for him.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I could kind of go either way, too. It does ruin the surprise of R2, which is, again, like a great hero moment for Luke when he does a little flick with the hand, and there go, R2. I mean, Vader does mention it on screen when he gets captured. He looks at the lightsaber and says to the fact like, "Oh, you learned how to do it." What people don't know, and only you would know this if you watch the Clone Wars, Aaron, is like it takes.
I'm working on it.
It takes. You just don't make a lightsaber. Like the lightsaber, it's a part of the whole thing. The crystal, how it's made, all that kind of stuff go into. It's a very Jedi Sith thing. To make a lightsaber, you have to concentrate. If you ever played Force Unleashed 2 in the video game, there's a cutscene where he's meditating and creating his lightsaber, and it's a very delicate process. Yeah, I think it would be cool because it would show Luke's mastery of the Force. But then again, it's like, well, how did he learn that? Did Yoda just give him a build a lightsaber for dummies book or what? I mean, because again, it's such the timing, the
sacred text,
the sacred text. It's such a short window. It's like, you just got defeated by Darth. You're in the medical frigate, and all of a sudden now you're like this bad mother, trucker going into Jabba's place, and you got this brand new lightsaber. I don't know. It's literally 6 months. So he read a couple sacred texts to get up to speed real quick.
All right.
All righty. Number 8.
Yeah.
General Crix Medine. This is probably the weirdest entry on this list.
Okay,
so brace yourselves.
Weird us out, man.
Weird.
Yeah, weird us out.
Yeah. During the attack on the Death Star and Return of the Jedi, everybody's favorite, Admiral Akbar, he's leading the charge.
Yes.
However, during the briefing, there's a general for the rebellion named Crix Medine.
He's the one with a great
Medine?
beard.
I don't know.
He's got the great beard and the very coif hair.
Big bushy beard.
Yeah.
Yes. So they took that actor, shot several more scenes where he commanded a ship during the final battle, but those were all cut out. So what gives? Well, the studio wasn't sure that audiences would like Admiral Akbar,
What?
the weird fish man.
What?
So they took alternate takes with a human general, just in case. And fortunately for the galaxy, audiences liked him, and they kept him in.
Oh,
So it's a trap. Almost never was.
yeah. That's very interesting, man. I mean, that's like, it's like, I don't know if we like this alien guy. It's Star Wars, man. Who likes a fish? Who doesn't like a talking fish? Come on.
Right?
What do you think, Heather?
Yep, they made the right call here.
Yeah, I think they made the right call there too. Yeah.
I will agree. This might be the weirdest entry
Yeah.
on the list.
Yeah.
I think it was unnecessary. I think they needed to trust the fact that they had a, 3-foot, Jedi Master and droids and
Right.
other previous aliens, and then they start to question the fish alien.
Yeah.
Like,
Come on. Like,
Come on.
right. It's like, are we getting too weird, guys? No. You call him Mon Calamari.
cross a
Yeah, you
line?
call him Mon Calamari. I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect.
yeah. So
All right, Aaron. What's next, man? What's next?
Number 7, Han figures out Finn's dirty little secret.
What?
So, Force Awakens, we got Finn, First Order Stormtrooper. He defects to the Resistance, teams up with Rey, takes a joyride on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, they do.
And then bumps into Han and Chewie, and hey, everybody's happy. However, Finn hides the fact that he's a Stormtrooper, obvious reasons. Later, though, Han just kind of gets a stroke of genius, blind intuition, and he figures out that Finn's a former stormtrooper, but we never know how he figures it out. However, there used to be a scene that explained this, which basically just highlighted Han noticing Finn's boots. And he's like, I've seen those boots before. I've run towards those boots. I've run away from those boots. I've worn those boots. Those are stormtrooper boots. Yeah. So that would have been cool for Han, because it just shows that, he's doing a little Sherlock Holmes and noticing a little specific detail. And then he's like, puts the pieces together and figures it out. But what we get in the movie, he's just spouting out accusations out of intuition, and he happens to be right. So what do you think about that, Todd?
Well, I like the scene where he basically says, listen, big deal, they always find out, So I like it because here I know. And the other thing, like Finn is wearing a stormtrooper undersuit the whole film and Poe's jacket. That is what he's wearing. So he's basically wearing like spandex and like an Under Armour suit and a jacket and some boots, So I don't think, again, it kind of goes to Han's character, how that scene plays out. And I think it works really well. I'm glad they didn't add this one. Heather, what say you?
Yeah, I think there is definitely something about the Han that we know by this point, that he does just sort of kind of shoot from the hip a little bit. And I think it just makes sense for him to kind of call people out, whether he's right or wrong, because he'll fight his way verbally out of it anyway, or sometimes actually fight his way out of it. I think it makes sense. It makes me chuckle because I just recently was rewatching this television show that's not on the air anymore called Leverage.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. It's a gas, but there's a character who just spews out this information like, how would you know that? But because of his history, he's like, oh, they have a very distinctive, haircut, or a very distinctive, like walk or something.
Right, yeah.
And, he just knows people are like ex-military because of certain things. And so I feel like it's got that Han quality where even if he had seen the shoes or not, he just knows.
Exactly. And we don't, again, I don't think we need a scene to explain it. It just works with his character because, again, he's been on one side of the galaxy, the other, and he's seen a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So you just figure it out, you know.
So
I'm going to disagree on this one. I think it should have been in. Yeah.
Defend.
Because you don't really need much in order to communicate this. This could be done in 3 shots, 15 seconds. One shot where it's a close-up on Finn's boots. Then you got a reaction shot where Han is kind of staring at him like, what's this? Mm-hmm. Maybe another shot of Finn walking off, and then, a few more seconds of Han kind of puzzling it over, and then, making the connection. And that's really all you need. And then later, he confronts him. Yeah. But at least we would then have a basis for his accusation, and it would have made a bit more sense.
Right.
So sure.
Because again, at this point, audience knows Finn is a stormtrooper, but the other characters like Rey and Han and Chewie don't know. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right.
I'll buy that for $1. All right, Aaron. What else? What else is going on here? What's number 6?
All right, number 6. Vader chokes Jerjerrod.
He's back. He's back.
Moff Jerjerrod. He's back. Yeah, and he's going through a tough time. He's he's managing the Death Star. Upper management comes in. Vader and the Emperor, they move up the completion deadline, basically giving him an impossible task. Then Vader threatens him before revealing that the Emperor is going to stop by and oversee the completion of the Death Star. And he's clearly stressed out. He needs a vacation, a little back rub, etc. So
he's like the project manager. He's like getting the he's like, I just can't make these deadlines.
Yeah, exactly. His men hate him.
Yeah.
He's getting the shakedown from up top. So However, they did have a scene that showed Jerjerrod getting the worst of it out of all of it. So they had a deleted segment where Jerjerrod attempted to prevent Vader from visiting with the Emperor. You know, we're not done yet. Stay back, etc. Based on orders from the Emperor himself. But Vader doesn't buy it. He chokes Jerjerrod because that's what he does.
That's what he does.
And but then, you know, I believe the Emperor stops him or something like that.
Yeah.
But this probably would have made audiences feel too sympathetic for Jerjerrod, you know, who's in charge of a station that destroys planets.
Right.
So, probably good that it was cut. Like, we want to feel bad for him, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with this one. It's basically, you know, again, I kind of I'm going back to Wreck-It Ralph, you know, with Zangief. It's like, I'm a bad guy, but does that make me a bad guy? You don't need to feel that sympathy at this point, especially in Return of the Jedi. The Empire's evil and the Rebels are good. You don't need to muddy up the waters where you have an Imperial officer just stuck in a bad spot, you know. So
right.
I'm going to point out, I feel like it's really interesting that these are other deleted scenes that took place, because I think in The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, I feel like we have this example with Hux. Is this guy on the bad side?
Yeah.
You still kind of feel bad for him because he's just trying so hard to get promoted and he just keeps getting overlooked. And and it works.
Yeah, but at the same time, like in The Last Jedi, he looks more like again with the Poe jokes. It plays off as he's a putz, and I
That's
feel
true.
like in the Force Awakens, dude, that speech is amazing on the base, on Starkiller Base. I mean, it's just like this dude believes it, and you kind of you know that he loves the First Order, and he's all in. He's all in. But then, like the Poe jokes at the beginning of Last Jedi just make him look like a putz, and Snoke kind of punks him out too on the deck. I don't know. I kind of agree, but at the same time, I just don't feel it plays well.
Sure. All right. Well,
I'm sorry.
it's just something came to my brain. Thought I'd bring
No,
it
it's
up.
good. It's good. It's good.
All right. Are we ready to get to number 5, gentlemen?
Let's do it.
All right. Chewbacca finally lives up to Han's promise.
Okay.
So, Star Wars franchise has a thing about hands and arms being removed from people's bodies.
Yes.
Hey, it's a way of life.
Yeah.
It's the way of life.
Yeah.
That's right. In the very first film, Han promised that Wookiees respond to losing by pulling people's arms out of their sockets.
True. Yep.
So it always seemed weird that in all the movies, Chewbacca never actually does this.
Nope.
The Force Awakens almost delivered a scene showing Chewie protecting Rey from a man named Unkar Plutt.
Yes. This is.
Did I nail that? Okay.
Yeah. This is
1/4 portion.
Yeah, this is right. This is Simon Pegg. This is the
Lovely. Okay.
Jakku dealer on
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Having Chewie dearm that particular alien. The problem was that seeing Chewie actually do it is actually a little bit more horrifying than just hearing about it. So probably better to leave it to our imaginations.
Didn't we see it in Solo, though?
We did. We did. And
In
it
the
comes
elevator.
off awesome. Literally.
And it works.
Literally.
Yeah, he pulled it off really well.
Yeah.
Somehow they did it in a way that's not entirely horrifying. So
Yeah.
kudos to them.
But apparently cutting an hand off isn't terribly horrifying.
No. You know,
Yeah, you
it's
just can't have any blood.
okay.
There it
So
is.
basically, you can watch this. This is on deleted scenes of The Force Awakens. It basically Unkar Plot tracks the Falcon to Tokadana, to Maz's castle, and that's where the confrontation happens. And it is out of place. It's just totally out of place. It's like, they're talking, and then Chewie just like barely comes up and just like rips both arms off. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because like basically he confronts Rey, Chewie comes up and pulls his arms off. I think it plays amazingly well in Solo and how it's done. Again, like that guy was his same size, and then when you see Solo in the next scene, he's in a bigger coat because the other guy is, I thought it played off really well, but I'm glad this was off the cutting, this didn't make final cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one thing for that to happen to somebody you don't know and don't care about, like that faceless dude who gets his arm ripped off in Solo. But it's another thing to happen to a guy like Unkar Plutt, which you probably don't like that much, but you don't really hate. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because like, he's rough around the edges and kind of mistreats Rey, but he's not exactly cruel for cruel's sake,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Faux show.
All right, what's up next?
All right. The Lost 20. I don't think I'm talking about $20 bills here, people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Attack of the Clones introduced Count Dooku, a former Jedi Knight who had renounced the Order and resurfaced
I've heard of
as
him.
a Sith.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Right?
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay. We're all on the same page?
Yeah.
Great. While the movie does a decent job of telling the character's story while still keeping it mysterious, there was a deleted scene that not only would have expanded Dooku's past, but also the lore of the Jedi.
Do tell.
Okay. While searching through the Jedi archives, Obi-Wan would have learned of Dooku and the Lost 20. There were 20 Jedi Knights who had defected from the Order. These 20 were counted from all of the Jedi's history, showing just how rarely a Jedi leaves the Order.
I'm just gonna say this right now. This is movie material right here. This would be cool. This would be a cool like offshoot. Yeah. Because it's interesting because again in the Jedi Temple you could see Dooku's bust in the library, and it's like those busts are the Lost 20, and they're in the library.
Does that include George Lucas?
Yeah, it might. Who knows? I don't know. I understand. Again, when we talk about pacing and everything, it's not totally necessary, but it does. Like again, you could add a little bit in that dialogue because again. I think it would add to the lore. It does add to the lore, like, because they mentioned, Mace is like, Mace says this about Dooku. He's like, he would never do that. He's a Jedi. Well, no, he's a former Jedi, man. He's like, he skipped class. He's like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. And I think it would be interesting because, like they said, that there's only been 20 that left the Order. I think it could play off in some dialogue. So,
yeah.
I guess it goes to show that a lot of the times when scenes are cut, it's not that they're bad, or even that they would have like harmed the movie. Sometimes it's just this thing is 2.5 hours. We got to trim it down, or we'll never get butts in the seats, and so some stuff has just got to go. And maybe they just thought that this would open up doors or open up questions where they didn't really want any. But yeah, it's pretty cool that you kind of have this lore or like these, like you speak of these names of Jedi who have left in like hushed whispers, and it's so rare for that to happen that it kind of gives more power to Count Dooku.
Yeah.
So it's not that it would have been bad if it's in, but sometimes it's just pacing.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all for this. Whoever's listening, you can make this film. I'm okay with that.
Right. Of course.
Yep.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, and again, I'm going
or release the extended editions like Lord of the Rings did.
Right. No, again, I'm going to back to Clone Wars, Aaron. Ahsoka leaves, and I think it's very powerful, and that also could play into these 20 that have left before. If it's like in little chunks, it could be very cool. Like, well, is this a rash thing, or is this like 20 people over time? I don't know. It's interesting that you could really explore it and see what's going on with those people. So.
For sure. All right. Sorry, fans.
What have we got next?
Okay. We have Han Can't Be Trained.
Okay.
So it looks like Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah, heard of it.
Showed Han, right? You've heard of it, right? Showed Han signing up for the Imperial Academy, and then jumped immediately to him serving as a field grunt and defecting. In an early cut, there was a scene in between these two moments that showed why Han wasn't a pilot for the Imperials. In the deleted footage, Han actually flew for the Empire, but disobeyed a direct order during a mission. This caused an accident, and Han was put before the tribunal, bumped down to infantry. The scene was notable for including Tag and Bink, two fan favorite characters from the expanded universe, and the scene was cut. And apparently that's where it will remain.
Right. So this literally just released because, again, the digital just came out recently. And as I said, the physical drops, the Blu-ray drops tomorrow, and it'll be out Wednesday when this episode drops. So, I seen it. I think it plays really well. And I wish they did include this one because it kind of shows, again, it shows Han doing his thing and going on impulse, and he just doesn't fit well in the academy, even though the rationale is good. I think it really just plays well because then he goes in front of the council, the Imperial, as he's getting kind of reprimanded, and I think the scene really plays really well.
Yeah, I guess for me, I really loved that cut because it's such a strong reversal from, welcome to the academy, like, happy to have you here flying for us. And then just smash cut, he's being, somersaulted into the dirt.
Yeah.
Sure.
As a grunt. I think that just tells you everything. Like, the expectation is, he's going to be a pilot.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, reality, we get the message. Things did not go as planned.
Right.
And I think this scene just would have been a long drawn out way of saying exactly the same thing. Like, this is how things didn't work out. Mm-hmm. And we don't necessarily need that.
Okay.
Because we already know that Han's a troublemaker that doesn't take well to authority. So
right.
Why tell us that twice?
Yeah. But I mean, the edit's good because, again, he says, we'll have you flying in no time. And then the scene is next, him flying in the air and landing on the ground. So it's exactly. It plays well. I think, again, it plays well. And to what we've said before, a lot of these scenes are good, but from a timing perspective, it just doesn't make sense to include them. So we'll watch it on the Blu-ray tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
All right, what's going on? We're almost there.
Oh man, we number 2?
Yeah, we're number 2.
Oh yes, this one. Luke's hand returns.
What?
I know. Everybody's sitting down, right?
I'm sitting down.
Okay. So one question that nobody ever asked was, what happened to Luke's hand after Vader cut it off?
Yeah, what happened?
So that's because it happened on Cloud City, right. So everyone just assumed that's where it ended up. Well, The Force Awakens initially attempted to provide a different answer. In early versions of the film, the opening shots were going to be of Luke's hand floating through space.
Epic.
Still clutching the lightsaber and falling through the atmosphere of Jakku. Jakku. I'm going to slow down.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a breath. It would have burned up, leaving just the lightsaber. A mysterious hand would then pick up the saber This definitely would have started the film up on a much stranger tone than the actual opening scenes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I was reading every leak that I could get my hands on Force Awakens when it was, being in development. This was in a couple of the drafts. Like, this was legit. Like, this was how it was going to open up, instead of the kind of classic space, moon, Star Destroyer kind of opening that we get in Force Awakens. I don't know, man. This would have been weird. This would have been really... It would have been interesting. I don't know. But do we really need a frozen hand in space, like plumbing to the ground and like disintegrating? I don't know.
I think it would have been cool outside of the floating hand was an opening shot, if you will, of his lightsaber within this little tiny grandma woman hand coming and grabbing it. And then nothing.
Huh.
AKA Maz.
Yeah, got it.
Thanks, Cap.
Aaron,
I will admit, I don't like that we've got no explanation for how Maz comes across Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah.
I think that's too many questions left unanswered.
Yeah.
And it's just hand waved away with forget it.
That's a story for another time, Aaron. That's a story for another time.
I know. But come on, give us something.
Yeah.
So because we never know what becomes of it. I think that kind of opening certainly would have been dramatic, a bit macabre, but whatever. And it would have given us a pretty neat tie-in with Luke as a character, especially because he's not going to be showing up in the movie till the very end. So we kind of get bookends where it's like Luke in the beginning, Luke in the end. But yeah, I don't know. I maybe would have kept it in. Trying to see what the downside is to this scene, and obviously they cut it for a reason. I guess it would just depend on who ends up picking it up, because Maz is not on Jakku.
Correct.
So
yeah. Or it doesn't really have to be Jakku. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because again, then what that would mean is that Bespin and Jakku are really close. I don't know. It's like, how does a floating, all right, it leaves the atmosphere, but I mean, does it keep on going into space? It just... Yeah.
Space is a big place.
Yeah. Right. It doesn't go up. It's going down. The lightsaber's going down. It's not shooting out of space. That's how it... I don't know. It's almost...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not how gas giants work.
Right. Maybe it was like helium and it just rised up or something. You almost need to show a series of events of that lightsaber kind of going down the happy trail until it ends up in Maz's hands, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just imagining Finding Nemo, where they travel across the what's that channel? Some kind of tide that they travel across to get to Australia.
Is it the... Gosh. I've watched Nemo 1,000 times, like a transatlantic.
I know, same here.
Yeah. Come on, Crush. What is it? Oh, man. We're just
EAC, East Australian Current.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm just imagining the hand taking the East Australian Current through space. Coming up against some space whales.
Yeah, exactly. It just gets bounced around and yeah. Although, no pun intended, it is an attention grabber when you see a hand in space, just like...
Yep. I think that's box art for one of the Dead Space games.
It is, yeah.
Just a hand in space.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think they did a smart choice because you would lose people. So
For sure.
All right, round us up. What's number one? What's number one?
Oh, do I have the honor of rounding us out?
Yes, you do.
All right, here we go. Dantooine.
Dantooine.
Thank you, Todd.
Sorry.
I'm probably going to screw it up at least one more time.
Go ahead. Dantooine.
So in A New Hope, Leia tells Grand Moff Tarkin that the rebel base is located on the planet Dantooine after he threatens to blow up her home planet of Alderaan.
Mm-hmm.
So later in the film, it's revealed that the rebels had a base there, but it was abandoned. While it was assumed that Leia knew it was abandoned, it's never confirmed.
Got it.
But are you ready for this?
Blow my mind, please.
Rogue One was going to answer this question by showing said base. In fact, there was going to be a scene showing the base being evacuated. This would have made it clear that Leia knew it was safe to give the Imperials this information. Put a little bow on it. Ooh, Aaron seems unconvinced.
Yeah, so
about that.
I feel like if it was included, it just would have been a case of saying the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was always clear that Princess Leia knew there was nothing there. And she's throwing out BS because, like, as soon as they say, they report back, the probe droids have returned from Dantooine. There is the remains of a base there, but it seems to have been abandoned for quite some time.
Yeah.
Then Grand Moff Tarkin, he's like, she lied to us.
Lies.
And so I guess technically we don't have confirmation that she knew nothing was there and maybe could have just been naming a random planet. But who cares? The effect is still the same. She's BSing them. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just throw this out. Whatever. What would have been cooler in Rogue One is if they went to Crate and showed Crate before we knew Crate in Last Jedi. That plays better. That plays better for Rogue One and Last Jedi if they really were thinking about it. That's an abandoned base. They could have showed that. They could have done. Rogue One is the only film in Star Wars that done little planets. They could have done little Crate. Boom. This is what's going on. It could have been a cool little thing. But I agree with Aaron wholeheartely. I mean, she knew it was already abandoned. You don't need to place this in Rogue One to. It's just fan service. It's just fan service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
sorry. Sorry. There you go. So that was 15 Star Wars cutscenes that could have changed the Star Wars universe forever. But yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. CBR.com to providing all that information. It's fun to explore some of those scenes, and there's still quite a few other cut scenes that that weren't mentioned on here, but those are pretty significant. All right, shall we move on to news of the week?
And now the Star Wars news of the week.
YouTube, it's wonderful. YouTube user Dmitry Grozovaz, am I saying that? Grozovaz?
Grozov?
Thank you. Released an anime trailer for A New Hope that looks more official than a fan-made trailer. It's getting a ton of reviews, and it's only been out like this last week. So you got to check it out. You just look up Star Wars A New Hope anime trailer, and you'll find it right away. It's getting like a ton of hits. It is super cool. It is in Japanese, and it's shot just like anime in the sense of everything being a little exaggerated, and it's fantastic. I think it's awesome. But yeah, you should check it out. Have you guys seen it?
I have.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I was
waiting. You're going to make through this episode without a dad joke or two?
Yeah, I was going to say,
mistaken.
It's
been a while.
It's almost it can't be a podcast without you having one dad joke. I mean, I feel like you're doing a disservice, you know. Yeah, it's good. It's good. So check it out. It's awesome. All right, what is up next?
Phantom Tracks.
What?
I know. So, coming from Phantom Tracks, as the franchise films release with increasing regularity, certain actors are becoming immortalized in plastic.
Life goals, right there.
Life goals. Yeah. Brickset has taken a look at a 2016 list compiling who has the most Lego minifigures.
These are big questions we need to ask.
I mean, these are the people who have time on their hands to do this, and I'm glad that they have the time.
Right,
so,
right.
I think it's important that we review the Star Wars relevant actors very quickly. So stay with me, guys.
Okay, here we go.
So here are the actors that have 2 minifigurines. Okay. We've got Kenny Baker, a.k.a. R2-D2 in Paplu.
Ewok. That's an Ewok, Heather. Did you know that? Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, Kenny Baker played an Ewok. How about that?
I knew he played an Ewok. I didn't realize that was the name connection situation.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not so good with all the names.
It's okay.
But I'll get there. Because I think they just take a bunch of letters and throw darts and put them together sometimes.
Exactly.
So,
you need to take the first 3 letters of your first name, the last 3 letters of your last name. You got a Star Wars name.
And they're done.
Yeah, done.
Benicio del Toro. A.k.a. the Collector from our Marvel films. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, DJ from recent Star Wars films. Yeah. Miss Laura Dern from Star Wars as Vice Admiral Holdo. Wow. I'm doing all right, guys. You hang in there with me. And then Dr. Ellie Sattler from Jurassic Park.
I know of her, yes.
Right. Harrison Ford. He's kind of popular as Han Solo and Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
We have
still waiting for my record or Deckard minifigure from Blade Runner.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, dude.
Need some of that in my life.
Yeah, that's right.
Sweet. Samuel L. Jackson with Mace Windu and Nick Fury, as I like to call him, but it's really Fury.
See what you
I've
did
got
there.
issues, guys. It's fine.
Got him.
And then Sir Christopher Lee with Count Dooku and Saruman the White.
Oh, yep.
Legend. Lupita, and I can never say her last name. I'm so sorry, Lupita.
Ninjago. No, it's not. It's not.
Not even close.
Not even close. Aaron's our resident pronouncer, so.
I know. Nyong'o. I'm going to go with Nyong'o and pretend that's right.
Yeah.
Even I'm stumped.
Okay. As our beloved Maz, and then Nakia from the Marvel Universe.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, we have Karan Shah as Goblin Scribe from The Hobbit.
What?
And, of course, Tito from Star Wars.
Tito. Okay, so Tito. Who's Tito? Oh, Tito. Okay, so Tito is Tito. Force Awakens. He's the guy riding the little beast where we find BB-8. He captures BB-8. That's Tito.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
And then some actors have 3 figurines.
It's too much.
We've got
too much.
Silas Carson, who all 3 are from Star Wars as Antidar Williams, Newt Gunray, and Ki Adi Mundi.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you. Tamira Morrison, Jango Fett. He's a clone pilot, and Captain Jag. Again, 3 Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
We've got Chris Parsons. We have K3PO, R3PO, and 4LOM. Again, all Star Wars.
4LOM. He's one of the bounty hunters. Last week that was
other ones were letters.
Yeah, last week, this is the guy you guys couldn't guess his legs. That was 4LOM. K3PO. I believe she's the white droid in Empire Strikes Back, and I think I don't know. They're a bunch of 3POs. He likes
Sure.
3POs. Yeah,
Of course. And then, of course, Andy Serkis, who's sort of in everything.
Yeah.
So we've got Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Of course, we've got Snoke from Star Wars, and Ulysses Klaue from the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, there is one actor
Who? Tell me.
who has 5 minifigures.
That's amazing.
So I have Weasel from Star Wars, BD from Star Wars, Professor Flitwick from Harry Potter,
What?
Wald from Star Wars, and of course Wicket from Star Wars. None other than Warwick Davis.
That's amazing. It's amazing. He plays one other character in Rogue One, but he's the little guy that talks into the little mic as they're gonna attack the tank. But he hasn't had a minifigure for that. But that's still cool.
So there you have it, guys.
Dude, that's life goals right there. Having 5 different minifigs. Another one. Yeah, DDBD is the character in Solo. He's the droid in Solo. That is the first one that what's her face? L3 liberates. That's DDBD.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. There you go.
Very nice.
Wow. I want a minifigure, but to have 5, that's pretty amazing. And congrats, Warwick Davis, on making that happen. All right, Aaron, what's up next?
All right. So the Force.net ran this story. So the 6th and final issue of the Marvel Star Wars The Last Jedi adaptation series came out.
Yep. And
we actually learned what Luke Skywalker's final thoughts were before dematerializing into nothingness.
What?
So if you remember,
Tell us.
End of episode 8, Luke had just used up all his Force energy to project himself across the galaxy to Ahch-To, or from Ahch-To to Crate, and he dies because of it. And by doing so, he's able to distract Kylo Ren and the First Order long enough to allow the Resistance an ample opportunity to escape and live to fight another day. Downside, of course, is it killed him. So,
Oops.
So in the film, he's looking on into the twin sunset in the horizon and vanishes, becoming one with the Force. Beautiful, heartbreaking scene. But we don't know what he's thinking. Except now we do.
What is he thinking? Tell us.
And so as he's meeting his end, he thinks, and so it ends as it began, by the light of 2 suns, before stepping into a larger world. Oh, I got chills.
So poetic.
I like it. Yeah, because there was a debate too if Ahch-To or Ahch-To or Gesundheit or however you want to say that planet actually has 2 suns, or is he seeing himself like back at Tatooine in a sense? You know what I'm saying?
That's what I think.
Yeah, and that's what I think too. I don't think Ahch-To has 2 suns. I think it's him kind of channeling back to when he was on that hill in Tatooine and looking at the 2 suns. It's still cool. I mean, again, it's cool.
I'm pretty sure we've seen the sunset.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it's cool. I mean, it's always cool to, and it's kind of taking that little homage to Obi-Wan as well, when Obi-Wan says that to him when he's defending the training remote on the Falcon. It's good. You're taking your first steps into a much larger world. I think it plays nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I like that.
Yeah, Star Wars does that. It kind of the themes, it kind of interconnects and that kind of thing. All right, the big mouse. Disney CEO Bob Iger says to fans expect some slowdown after Episode 9 2019 release. So Bobby Boy is talking to the Hollywood Reporter about the speed of Star Wars productions, and Iger says the following, and quote, "I made the timing decision, and as I look back, I think the mistake that I made was a little too much too fast. You can expect some slowdown, but that doesn't mean we're not going to make films. JJ is busy making episode 9. We have creative entities, including David Benoff and DB Wise, who are developing sagas of their own, which we haven't been specific about. We're just at the point where we're going to start making decisions about what comes next." Iger continued, "But I think we're going to be a little bit more careful about the volume and timing, and the buck stops here on that." Okay, it came from the top. So what do you think there, Heather?
I think it seems wise.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it's good to listen to the people. I think, like we've always said between the three of us, quality over quantity.
Correct.
We don't mind the quantity if it's quality, but taking a step and evaluating and not putting a cart too far before a horse is always a good decision to make. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with it. I hope that it doesn't become something that waits so long that they lose a Star Wars steam, kind of the flow of the storylines, or some excitement about other characters and things like that.
Yep. Aaron, what do you think, man?
Well, I think it's better to just pump the brakes and say, all right, let's make sure we get this right before we go forward. Yeah. Rather than, as much fun as it is to get a continuous drip feed of Star Wars, I think we'd all much rather prefer that it's done right rather than done quickly. Yeah. So I see this as good news.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we kind of knew it was happening unofficially, but now it's coming from Bob Iger himself. So yeah, I agree. It could warrant a nice little slowdown to get everything kind of leveled out and get it on the right track. And then finally, this just broke today. Gary Kurtz died. He died of cancer on Sunday. He was 78. If you're not familiar with him, he is one of the producers for Star Wars, and him and George are kind of tied together. American Graffiti, he did Dark Crystal as well with Jim Henson, but him and George did Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back together, and they kind of had a falling out because of the troubled production of Empire Strikes Back. He did not return to be a producer in the Return of the Jedi, but yeah, he definitely added a little flavor and helped out George shape his vision for and making it happen for Star Wars, which is monumental to begin with, and then Empire Strikes Back. So sorry to hear that he passed, but yeah, he was definitely an influence on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, if you're in the Chicago area, the Music Box Theater is having a 70 millimeter film festival this weekend. And you can go see The Dark Crystal in big and bold 70 millimeter format. Yeah. Next showtime is on Wednesday, the 26th at 7 p.m.
Oh my gosh. So good.
Not an advertisement, but just something I noticed. And if you want to pour one out for your homeboy, Gary Kurtz.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right.
So,
well, are we ready for some Cantina chat, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
So, Aaron, let's start with you. We'll go alphabetical.
Got nothing.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, RPG was canceled this week.
How's that possible?
We couldn't make... Dude, it's been so busy this week.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, so sorry.
Wow.
Pockets are turned inside out on this one, and
coming up empty-handed.
Going directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Sad.
It is sad. Heather, how about you?
What about you, Heather?
Maybe next time. Well, sadly not a whole lot outside of the fact that I have not been flying solo.
So good. This is why you guys can't miss the live stream, because
this is what the live stream's all about.
That was the best reveal ever. Yeah.
I made a little solo. He's got his little red stripes.
Yeah, legit.
Right on.
He's so ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And his movie release.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so amazing.
So just keep. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, could you like make a DL-44 for him? I mean, is that like against? Because that looks so amazing.
I don't know how to do that. I could figure something out.
No, it's fine. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just keep watching our socials, you guys. He might come back.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, that was amazing.
I'm like a 4-year-old. Daddy, look! All right,
hon, that's enough.
It's like Mr. Bill from Saturday Night Live.
Oh my gosh, Todd, save me. Save me, Todd.
Will.
What have you been doing?
I pretty much not planned, but Jen was out of town this weekend, and so I had the kids from Thursday till Sunday, and we basically had like a little Star Wars movie marathon. So watched Attack of the Clones, because Trent really likes the Acolyte, which is the big crab monster in the arena scene. So he's like, I want to watch that. So I'm like, and then he's like, I want to watch Revenge of the Sith. I'm like, all right, well, so we did Revenge of the Sith the next night. And then we did Rogue One, and we did A New Hope. So it was a nice little movie marathon, and it's always good watching Star Wars with the kids and using those as teaching moments. So yeah, it was a fun little weekend, and always when you sprinkle in a little Star Wars. So that's my Katina update.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, so we got some Twitter trash compactor. Here we go.
Get in there, you big polio! I don't care what you smell. Get in there and don't worry about it.
We talked about this the last couple of weeks. We are doing Twitter polls on our subjects that we talk about in our podcast. So please look at Twitter, and if you want to vote. Unfortunately, this one did not get a lot of votes, only 2. So I'm very sad about that. But the question was, who is your favorite bounty hunter in Star Wars? And write-ins are welcome, because we were talking about bounty hunters, and yeah, Heather beat Aaron last week. So there you go on the bounty hunter quiz. But so it was Boba Fett, Imbo, which is from the Clone Wars, Bosk, our literal lizard Treshendon, and Zam Wessel, the Changeling. Boba Fett won. I mean, is there any question? But, that might have been me voting twice. I'm not sure. So please check out our socials. We'll put up polls every week about what we talked about. And please vote and let us know your thoughts. So that's it for Twitter Trash Compactor. It was a short one.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot going on. All right, Aaron, you want to put a big bow on this one?
Let's wrap it up.
All right, as a wrap.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. You could check us out on social media, WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. Our entire back catalog and all things WSTR are at WSTRmedia.com. We want to hear from you, so email us at mailbox@WSTRmedia.com or call us at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. For our next episode, tell us, what are your thoughts on the fan film TK630? Or tell us about something we talked about today. Call us or write it in, and we'll get you on the episode. Now you know all the ways to get a hold of us. Next week, episode 91, Han Solo Blu-ray Extras. Blu-ray release on September 25th, and we might have a special guest lined up.
What?
How about that?
I feel it. So yeah, so you could tell us about the TK630 fan film. Tell us some of the cool things you like about Solo, all the extra stuff, because we'll be probably covering that next week as it drops tomorrow, as we said earlier. So yeah, the operators are standing by. We gotta know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And with that, now this
is
podcasting.